Hi everyone, welcome to week 7 of TESOL Methods with Field Experience. Hope the semester has been going well for you so far. I hope this week is wonderful for you also. We're just chugging right along with our various topics, and so what you've been working on more recently has to do with reading, writing, grammar, vocabulary, and hopefully you've been noticing something as far as literacy is concerned and reading. Hopefully you noticed that the pattern that a typical student will go through in learning how to read in his or her L1 is very similar to the pattern that that person will go through in an L2, learning how to read. However, oftentimes it will be a slower pace. And that is considering that all things are equal. We may run into other issues, but it's important for us to know that because it can inform our teaching. Something else that I hope that you realize, the writing systems, as far as the L1 and the L2 are concerned, this is where information on where our students are coming from is so important. We need to understand as best we can if our student, our ESL student, is coming from a native language that has a completely different writing system, possibly different letter characters, possibly characters that would form words that would go in a different direction than we are used to as far as our pages of words and sentences going from left to right. And we need to understand if there were adequate literacy skills achieved in the L1. If there weren't, if there were problems in the L1, as far as that student being able to learn how to read, those same problems are going to come into play for the L2. So we want to be aware of that as well. And as you might imagine, as they do for students learning how to read, write, and expand on their language skills and communicative skills in their L1s, these systems, these areas of our communication and learning, they do overlap. So hopefully we all know that better readers are going to make better writers and vice versa, and the same is going to be the case for our L2s. Their literacy skills, their writing skills are going to impact their reading skills. Their reading skills are going to be impacted by their vocabulary knowledge. We may not necessarily be able to predict someone's oral skills given his or her reading skills, but there are some areas where we can see that one facet of language can impact and inform the other. As far as vocabulary, this is something that I see many students, or rather that I hear many students telling me is an issue for them. Lack of confidence in vocabulary understanding and recognition vocabulary does affect the confidence of many students, and so the more we can impact that, the more we can help them foster greater vocabulary, greater recognition vocabulary, larger repertoires of vocabulary knowledge and key term, key phrase knowledge. The more confident those students are going to be, the more they're going to use their language, the faster their rate of acquisition will be. And of course we want them to feel good and feel secure in utilizing the language to have reciprocal conversation in their L2 community. So it's just a win-win all around to help them build their vocabulary knowledge. And then finally, I want to talk about grammar. That's what you're going to be working on this week. And the only thing I want to mention about that, because I don't want my video to get too long, is that much is made about the debate regarding how to teach grammar. Basically, it comes down to there are different terms that are introduced to you in your book, but it basically comes down to a question of, do you teach grammar explicitly or implicitly? Your book calls it incidentally rather than implied, but basically the same thing. So do we teach grammar as far as sitting our students down, showing them rules and having them practice, or do we give our students an assignment, an interactive activity, and hope that they will glean from that activity the grammar rules and skills that we want them to learn as a goal for that assignment? So I'd like to give you my 2 cents because there is, again, insecurity for many second language learners in not having clear instruction. They get very nervous and then could shut down. Effective filter could go up and they might not take in information that they really need. So what I think is that both are important. Implied and explicit grammar lessons are important. I think when initially teaching a new rule, a new structure, what have you, in grammar, I think it's worth it to focus on that and teach it outright, teach it explicitly, and maybe do some practice. And then you can follow up with some activities that utilize that rule. And maybe scaffold upon the rule that you've learned, or hopefully your students have learned that you have taught. And I think that is probably the best way to do it for your students so that they have a comfort level, but also are challenged enough so that they can really grow their grammar skills. That said, those are the topics you've been working on. I wanted to mention a couple of assignments that are coming up. So your article review has been submitted, and I'm very excited to read through those. I already know some of the articles that you guys have selected, and they sounded really interesting. So I can't wait to see what you all thought of it when you really read through and critiqued them. But you have a couple assignments coming up. One is the midterm coming up in a couple weeks. It is due. It will be due by 10/20, October 20th, and it will be released to you the week of 10/16, and it will have different kinds of questions. It will have multiple choice, it will have true false, it will have some matching, and it will have some short answer. In order for you to have a sense of what that might look like in my class and in our online forum, for this week, for week 7, for your participation assignments where you typically have 2 discussions, I have for you 1 discussion and 1 quiz. It's a quiz on the topics that you read for this week, and I'm doing that, like I said, on purpose so that not only can you demonstrate to me your knowledge that you've gathered from having read the assignments you were asked to read by the syllabus, but also so you can be exposed to what it's like to take a quiz and answer some of these style of questions within my class. So hopefully that helps you. So that will be coming up. And if anyone has any issues, any learning styles or accommodations that you typically do have made for you at Eastern, please just let me know, and we will make everything happen so that everyone feels comfortable and so that you feel that the only thing that is happening during your exam is that you're being assessed for the knowledge that you've gathered this semester and not being stressed out for other reasons. I don't want that. The other assignment that's coming up is your observation and reflection assignment. And so that is going to be due on November 9th, but that will come up quickly. Hopefully you've all set up your observation sites and you've already started getting to those classrooms and observing what the teachers are doing, what the students are learning. And within that assignment, you are going to be asked to summarize, explain, and then reflect. And I've also suggested to you, if you have permission, and it really is up to the instructor that is hosting you, but if you have permission to either speak to the instructor or speak to students or even have the students read something or write something, I would really take advantage of that so that you can really see these topics that you're reading about in action and kind of make your own hypotheses as to what you would do for certain students in certain situations and see what teachers are doing in certain situations. And if you, given now your vast knowledge from your reading and such, do you agree with what the teacher is doing? Did the teacher do something that was surprising to you that you hadn't read about but you thought was really great? You can really analyze and think about what is happening with these students and what these teachers are creating and working on in their classrooms, even more so if you are permitted to conduct an interview or even ask the students to perform just a couple of simple tasks for you. That I have information on how to create quality interview questions. So that's why those are there listed in the assignment space. If your hosting instructor, like I said, just does not feel comfortable with that, doesn't want it, we don't want to make that person feel uncomfortable, nor do we want to make the students feel uncomfortable in any way, and that's fine, you don't have to do it. But should you be permitted to do it, the information is there. So that is coming up, and if you have any questions on that, as always, please email me. So I think that's everything for this week. I appreciate all the hard work that you've all been putting in. Look forward to the assignments that are going to be coming in very soon and all of your wonderful ideas. I thank you for the great discussions and the back and forth and the way that you are bouncing ideas and information off of each other. It's very productive and I think very enriching for our classroom. So thank you for that. And otherwise, I wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.